जब गौतम बहुत ज़्यादा लोग इकट्ठे हो जाते हैं तो एक जोश का माहौल हो जाता है, तो बिल्कुल एक सुरक्षा के लिहाज से चीज़ें ज़रूर खड़ी होती हैं। इस चीज़ किसी भी स्थिति से बिल्कुल उसको अवॉइड करने के लिए आज जो लोग हैं वो उनसे मना किया गया कि वो इसमें शामिल ना हो। लेकिन इसके बाद अगर हम गौतम कहें कि जो प्रक्रियाएं हैं वो अभी चल रही हैं और अभी जो सभी लोगों की जो नज़र है वो बिल्कुल जो इंटीग्रेटेड कॉम्प्लेक्स है उसके दरवाजे पर लगी हुई हैं कि विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन वहां से निकलें और उनकी एक झलक लोग पा सकें। गौतम।
सुधीर, आप बने रहिए हमारे साथ। मेरे ख्याल से अमृतपाल भी हैं हमारे साथ न्यूज़ रूम में। अमृत, इफ आई कुड कम टू यू अगेन while we wait for the return of our national hero, the other aspect, of course, we've seen today how Pakistan's two-faced approach has been exposed once again today in Abu Dhabi. Throw some light on that as well, because Imran Khan was trying to give some other kind of picture yesterday in the Pakistan National Assembly, and today his foreign minister was entirely different.
Yes, and that is the dichotomy. That's where that is Pakistan's problem. It's not just two-faced. It's sinister. It's diabolical. It's a concerted effort, not just to look confused yourself, but to confuse the other side.
Let me just inform the viewers, Amrit, 1 second, that these images that we just saw on the screen were from the Pakistani side. So a similar atmosphere of anticipation there as well. Of course, the kind of feelings that might be across the border, the less said about it, the better. But continue, please.
It is basically, and the reason for that is that there is a difference between what they want to project and what they actually do on ground. They want to project, as Prime Minister Imran Khan yesterday said, our desire for peace. We are returning the officer because of our desire for peace, to open channels of new negotiation with India and things like that.
And 2 days ago he was talking about, in a sense, that he wants to bargain for his return.
I don't think he meant the bargain, because if the bargain would have happened, India had made it very clear that that India is not going to bargain. And even if Pakistan wanted to bargain, the Prime Minister wouldn't say it. The bargain would happen at much
He suggested it in his address to the nation, the recorded address, which had a lot of cuts.
Yeah. So basically, I was saying that the Pakistani Prime Minister wanted to be seen as giving a concession to India and sending the message across to the world that, look, we are the ones who want to de-escalate the situation, but the Indians are not. Now, this is psychological. These are called psyops in the information warfare game that goes on. Our Air Force, Army and Navy officers yesterday did a joint briefing last evening where they listed out the obfuscations, the Pakistani army, and the lies and the falsehoods they've been spreading since this attack took place. This counter-terrorism strike took place by India in Balakot, and in the aftermath of that, Pakistan's adventurism or misadventurism into Indian space, airspace, and India's reaction to that. So that's very much a part of a strategy of the warfare strategy that they're playing out. So when Pakistan's Prime Minister says one thing, for Pakistan's army says another, does another, the foreign ministry says another, the foreign minister does another. So it's basically they're trying to achieve multiple objectives.
Right.
They're trying to, on one hand, sound very holier than thou, and the ones who want to return to peace, ones who are not the destabilizers, ones who are not the aggressors, ones who want to play the victims of terror, and sell that narrative to the world so that there is support from the international community. But
okay, Amrit, I'm going to have to stop you for a moment because we're taking you across now live, all our viewers, while we wait for the return of Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthanam to Abu Dhabi for a briefing on what happened really at the OIC meet. Let's cross over to Abu Dhabi for the moment.
Good afternoon.
You can see our external affairs officers there. That's the MEA spokesperson, Ravish Kumar.
You are aware that India has been invited to this OIC Foreign Ministers meeting as a guest of honor country. Earlier today, our External Affairs Minister has delivered the inaugural address at the plenary, and we have actually uploaded her statement on our website. I have with me the Secretary in the Minister of External Affairs, Secretary Economic Relations, Shri T.S. Tirumurthy, who will brief you all on our participation at the OIC. I also have with me our Ambassador to UAE, Shri Navdeep Suri, who will brief on some of the strands of the excellent bilateral relationship which we have with UAE. After the two briefings, we will open the floor to questions. Sir, the floor is yours.
Friends, thank you very much for coming here. Today was a historic day in our engagement with the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. On the 50th anniversary of the first ever meeting in 1969, India was invited as the guest of honor at the inaugural plenary of the 46th session of the Council of Foreign Ministers of OIC in Abu Dhabi. External Affairs Minister Srimati Sushma Swaraj delivered her address as the guest of honor in today's plenary earlier this morning and opened a new chapter in our engagement with OIC. As the official announcement by the United Arab Emirates mentioned, and also the chairman of the 46th session of the OIC, His Highness the Foreign Minister of UAE, had reiterated this morning, the invitation to India was extended in recognition of India's global political stature, as well as its time-honored and deep-rooted cultural and historical legacy, and its important Islamic component. It is in this spirit that we have come here. India has civilizational, multifaceted, and robust relationship with OIC member countries. Member states of the OIC, inter alia, serve as the primary source of our energy security, as home to more than 12 million strong Indian diaspora, as one of the largest trading partners of India, as source for our fertilizers and food security, as partners in securing our security interests, especially maritime security, and as important partners in fighting terrorism. These bilateral relations have expanded in the recent past in key areas, including defense, security, counterterrorism, intelligence sharing, trade and investment, space, capacity building, etc. You would have already listened to the address of the Honorable Minister of External Affairs this morning. In her address, the External Affairs Minister observed that 2019 is a very special year. Since OIC is celebrating its Golden Jubilee, UAE is celebrating 2019 as the year of tolerance, and India is celebrating 150th birth anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi. EAM also conveyed her deep appreciation for the sagacious leadership of the UAE for inviting India for the inaugural. It may be recalled that the highly successful visits of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, to India in 2017 as the chief guest on our Republic Day, and the Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi to Abu Dhabi in 2018, and more recently of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, have cemented our ties bilaterally and with the region and beyond. External Affairs Minister underlined the steps taken by the government over the last 5 years or so to substantially enhance our relations with individual member states of OIC in all the regions. It is worth mentioning that more than US dollars 12 billion has been extended as lines of credit and nearly US dollars 4 billion as grant assistance to OIC member countries under our development partnership. In addition, India also offers around 4,500 high-tech slots and 2,000 educational scholarships annually to OIC countries, contributing to their capacity building in a very big way. The trade between India and OIC countries was around US dollars 230 billion, amounting to 30% of our total trade. In her address, EAM had called for states who provide shelter and funding to terrorists to dismantle the infrastructure of terrorist camps and stop providing shelter and funding to the terror organizations based in their country. She underlined that the fight against terrorism is not a confrontation against any religion. EAM's speech at the plenary was widely welcomed. She attended the luncheon banquet hosted by the Foreign Minister of UAE, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed. In the afternoon, EAM is having a series of bilateral meetings with her counterparts, including Bangladesh, Uzbekistan, Maldives, Gabon, Kyrgyz Republic, etc., subject of course to scheduling. EAM is also calling on His Highness Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, Foreign Minister of UAE, later this afternoon. In the evening, External Affairs Minister will be attending the reception hosted by the UAE side, where all the dignitaries are expected to be present before she heads back to India. Thank you.
May I now request our ambassador to touch upon the expanding relations which we have with you.
Well, as the Secretary said, the decision of the government of UAE to extend this very special invitation to India to be the guest of honor is really a reflection of the increasing depth in our bilateral relationship. We see it manifest in many different areas. When we talk about the fact that we have a comprehensive strategic partnership agreement, we can start almost in any direction and see how far we are going. If we look at trade, the UAE is our third largest trading partner with a bilateral trade of about $53 billion. If we look at investments, yesterday some of you might have seen a press release from Abu Dhabi Investment Authority conveying that they have done a fresh round of $500 million investment into a special fund for investment into stressed assets. This is in addition to the billions of dollars already invested in areas like housing and highways and infrastructure sectors and renewable energy and so on. In the field of energy, you see the same thing. We acquired our first oil concession here last year, and in the next week or so you may get some news on a further development. In the area of strategic petroleum reserves, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company partnered with us to establish our first strategic petroleum reserve in Mangalore, and talks are already underway on a second one. ADNOC and Aramco have already done a strategic agreement to be partners in the $44 billion Ratnagiri refinery project. But it's not just about these numbers. When you came here on our Republic Day, the ADNOC building and 6 other landmark structures in Abu Dhabi were lit up in Indian flag colors. If you had been here on the 2nd of October, Burj Khalifa was lit up with Mahatma Gandhi. And I'm just saying that these are examples visually of the deep connect that we see between our countries. This is a relationship that both countries attach exceptional importance to at the highest level, and what we witnessed this morning is just one example of that relationship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I open the floor to questions. Please introduce yourself very briefly, and we will not take any questions which is outside our participation devices. Pranav.
सर आज एक बहुत ही सख्त बयान पाकिस्तान की तरफ से आया है। पाकिस्तान के विदेश मंत्री ने कहा कि भारत को कोई मॉरल ग्राउंड नहीं है कि वो ओआईसी की मीटिंग में मौजूद रहे, और इसलिए ये कहते हुए, भारत पर आरोप लगाते हुए उन्होंने इस मीटिंग का बहिष्कार किया है। पहली बात, भारत इस चीज को कैसे देखता है? और मेरा दूसरा सवाल है कि विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन की रिहाई को लेके इस तरह की रिपोर्ट्स आ रही हैं कि उसमें यूएई और सऊदी की भी भूमिका थी, तो क्या विदेश मंत्री ने इस बारे में जो सहयोग जिस तरीके से मिला है अंतर्राष्ट्रीय बिरादरी से, उस पर कोई उन्हें धन्यवाद दिया है अपनी मुलाकात में?
Sir. See, I'm not going to get into the second question. I can only tell you that we have been invited here as the guest of honor. And you have heard what the chairman, His Highness the Foreign Minister of UAE, mentioned during the plenary. And it was in response to UAE's very generous invite, our very deep and our very close relations, and also their recognition of India's standing in the Committee of Nations, that we have come here to Abu Dhabi. So that is how we see this, and that is how we are participating in this particular conference.
Pranay, we are not keeping an attendance sheet of people who are coming, foreign ministers who are coming or not coming. As Secretary I mentioned, that we are very grateful that we have been invited by UAE to participate, and we are very happy to participate at this OIC Foreign Ministers meeting.
On the allegations of the Pakistan foreign minister, would you like to?
That's what I'm saying. I think that we let us restrict ourselves to our participation, EM's participation at the OIC. Geeta?
Geeta Mohan from India Today. Just wanted to know about the specific mention on terrorism and the issue and concerns that India wants addressed. This was a forum where External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj raised the issue and said that sponsors of terrorists and terrorism have to be contained. A message, without naming Pakistan, but a message to the Islamic world that they need to cooperate with India with regards to cross-border terrorism?
See, I am not here to interpret or reinterpret EAM's speech. She has said what she has to say, and you have all listened to this. But let me also underline the fact that every one of them who spoke during the inaugural recognized the determination, or at least the importance of tackling this with a certain resolve and determination. And I think they had absolutely no hesitation in saying that they have zero tolerance to terrorism. And it was underlined by all the speakers.
Thank you, sir. We'll take two questions at a time. Yes, please. Second two. And then after that.
Good evening, sir. This is Soumya from Magal. And with today's presence in the OIC, what do you think is the stand of India in the international dimensions?
Sorry?
What is the stand of India in the international dimensions with the participation of EM in today's event?
Thank you. We'll take one more, sir. Yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador. Thank you, Mr. Kumar. My question is, are there any talks in the closed meetings today in the morning regarding to the Pakistani issue? And do you think, my question is for Mr. Kumar, do you think that to host India as a guest, honored guest in the meeting, do you think this is a good opportunity to find a solution, especially with Pakistan?
Thank you. Sir, I pass it on to you.
Yeah, I'll react to the second question first. All I can say that the External Affairs Minister, in her discussions with her counterparts, she briefed them on some of the recent developments. And that's where I would like to leave this question, because I'm not getting into the other issue where we specifically mentioned that we don't want to comment. And as far as your question is concerned, the very fact that we are here is an important statement, in the sense that it's not just because of the 185 million Muslims or more that we have in India, but apart from that, their contribution and the various other aspects which EM actually in a very great detail outlined in her own speech. And that is how we see the position of India. And this was also in fact echoed, as I mentioned just a few minutes earlier, by the announcement which they had made several days ago. And they described the three reasons why they felt that India is being invited as a guest of honor for OIC.
Yes, please.
I'm Binsal Abdul Qadir from Gulf News. With the boycott of Pakistan, this has been a major issue in the OIC. So I would like to know whether there was any mediation offers from OIC members between India and Pakistan, especially Saudi Arabia or the UAE. If there is any gesture, India will accept it.
There was no effort to mediate from any OIC member.
Hi,
Yes, please.
my name is Anjana. I'm from Khalij Times. What do you expect? What do you expect will be the tone of a resolution on Kashmir if that comes out on the last day and second day of OIC tomorrow?
See, we have opened a new chapter in our relations with OIC. At this point of time, I don't want to speculate on what sort of resolution which will come out after today or tomorrow. But our position has been made very clear over the years. Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India, and we will not let anyone interfere in our internal affairs. And that position stands.
Any other question? If none, we conclude this special briefing from Abu Dhabi. Thank you all for joining.
Well, there you just saw and heard the briefing that was taking place in Abu Dhabi by the Ministry of External Affairs officials, because our External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was invited to the plenary session of the OIC meeting as a guest of honor, where she talked on the issue of terrorism as well, and asked all the leaders present, her counterparts really in that meeting, to tell all those countries who are sponsoring terror to stop doing that, and they need to combat terrorism all together. And meanwhile, we are getting you live images constantly, even while that press conference was on, of the Atari border, where we're waiting for a glimpse of our national hero, Wing Commander Abhinandan, who was taken captive 2 days ago by Pakistan when he had shot down an F-16 PAF jet with his MiG-21 Bison. And then his plane had also been hit, and he'd had to bail out, and he was then taken into custody by Pakistan. We have my colleague Sudhir Yadav from the Atari border with me. Sudhir, कुछ और जानकारी मिल पा रही है आपको कि अभिनंदन जो है उनका हैंडओवर हुआ है, नहीं हुआ है, किस तरह की कार्रवाई है, कहाँ पहुँची है?
बिल्कुल गौतम, सभी लोगों को इंतज़ार है। हालांकि इस बीच गहमा गहमी दिखी गई। अभी थोड़ी देर पहले यहाँ के जो फोर्सेस हैं सभी अलर्ट पे आ गए, और इससे पहले जो आर्मी की जो मेडिकल टीम थी वो जो कॉम्प्लेक्स है वहाँ से निकली और उसके बाद से यहाँ चली गई। अभी की ये गहमा गहमी, हालांकि इंतज़ार जो है अभी सभी लोगों का पीछे अभी भी गौतम जो लोगों का उत्साह है वो बिल्कुल बना हुआ है। मौसम में थोड़ी ठंडक ज़रूर आ गई है गौतम, लेकिन लोगों के उत्साह में, लोगों के जोश में बिल्कुल कमी नहीं है। लोग जो अपने हीरो है उसको देखने के लिए बिल्कुल पूरी तरह से डटे हुए हैं। लगातार झोट ढोल नगाड़े और जोश जो है वो पूरी तरह से बरकरार है।
जी, हम तस्वीरें भी दिखा रहे हैं सुधीर। खास बात, एक सफ़ेद व्हीकल है और पीछे उसकी एक हरे रंग की जिप्सी भी है, उसमें लाइट भी लगी हुई है, लाल बत्ती भी लगी हुई है। ये कब की तस्वीरें और इसके बारे में हमको क्या बता सकते हैं आप?
बिल्कुल, ये जो कुछ व्हीकल आर्मी के और जो दूसरे व्हीकल्स हैं ऑफिशियल्स के, वो ठीक मेरे पीछे से कुछ बारी बारी करके निकल रहे हैं, लेकिन अभी तक जो अंदर इंडियन एयरफोर्स के जो व्हीकल्स गए हुए हैं और जो आर्मी के जो सीनियर ऑफिसर्स के व्हीकल गए हैं जो इंटीग्रेटेड कॉम्प्लेक्स में, वो अभी भी अंदर मौजूद हैं। इंतज़ार ये किया जा रहा है कि जब वो व्हीकल्स निकलेंगे तो उसमें जो हमारे हीरो है विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन, वो उनके साथ यहाँ से निकलेंगे। गौतम,
तो अभी कुछ देर पहले तक तो ये जानकारी थी कि अटारी बॉर्डर के उस तरफ विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन पहुंच चुके हैं। उसमें कोई प्रगति के बारे में कहीं कुछ आधिकारिक सूत्रों से आपको पता चल रहा है?
गौतम, देखिए एक बात मैं इस बीच ये और बता दूं कि अभी जो हमें रक्षा मंत्रालय के जो सूत्र हैं उनकी तरफ से एक खबर ज़रूर दी गई है कि जब एक बार विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन जब यहां पहुंचेंगे उसके बाद से जो एयरफोर्स के एयर वाइस मार्शल RG के कपूर है वो यहां आएंगे और मीडिया से मुखातिब होंगे, एक जो स्टेटमेंट है वो मीडिया को देंगे। तो अभी की जो अपडेट यही है कि हम लोग अब इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं कि जो एयर वाइस मार्शल RG के कपूर यहाँ जब विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन जब यहाँ से निकलेंगे उसके बाद से पहुँचेंगे और जो डिटेल्स है वो हमारे साथ शेयर करेंगे।
तो ये जो आपको जानकारी मिली है कि ये एयर वाइस मार्शल RG के कपूर संबोधित करेंगे मीडिया को, ये अपने आप में क्या बताती है कि किस मुकाम तक पहुंच चुकी है सारी प्रक्रिया स्वदेश वापसी की, अपने वतन में वापसी की विंग कमांडर अभिनंदन की? सुधीर? Usha Pawar is also with us on the phone line, our colleague and correspondent there again at the Atari border. Usha Pawar, if you're hearing something about it, Sudhir just said that there will be a briefing by a very senior Air Force official who's been really the face as far as the latest round of conflict with Pakistan is concerned for the Air Force. Do you think
फोन डिस्कनेक्ट हो गया? कनेक्ट करें प्लीज, फोन डिस्कनेक्ट हेलो 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 कनेक्ट प्लीज, फोन डिस्कनेक्ट, कनेक्ट प्लीज।
Yes, Usha, go ahead.
After Wing Commander Abhinandan passes from this place, and only after that the briefing will be there. But we are all waiting. I think the information which we got about half an hour ago was that Wing Commander Abhinandan had come on the other side of Wagha checkpost on the Pakistan side, and there were certain formalities. The process was to be completed, and that is taking longer now. I think some people they are against Pakistan. That why they are taking so long to make him cross over the zero line. So we are still waiting. Perhaps Pakistan will hand over Wing Commander Abhinandan only after this retreat ceremony is over. This is what we have the feel at the moment. But still we are waiting, and just half an hour ago, about 20 minutes ago, a table was placed over here in front of ICP, in front of the gate of the ICP, where Air Force officer, a senior Air Force officer, he is going to brief media after Wing Commander Abhinandan passes from this way. I don't think that anybody will be able to have a glimpse of our hero, because he'll be shifted from this place in hastily, and let us see what happens. And we are still waiting here to see our Wing Commander Abhinandan, to have a glimpse of Wing Commander Abhinandan. Not only media, not only us, not only people, but media is also still, and that is taking a bit longer now.
But as I was asking Sudhir as well, we got disconnected, some network issues I guess, but the announcement that there will be a briefing by Air Vice Marshal RG Kapoor, is that sufficient indication of the fact that our authorities have received the Wing Commander?
We can say that. I think we can say that, because we were told that briefing will only be after Wing Commander Abhinandan is taken from this place. Only after that briefing will be there. When the tables were placed over there for the briefing, we came to that now it shouldn't take very long, but still further wait is there, and we are waiting. And whenever something happens, we'll.
Yes, Usha. I'm not sure if we're still on, your line there, but if we've been reconnected with Sudhir Yadav, I'd like to ask him the same. Sudhir, I'm told, is not yet connected. Usha, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we see a lot of uniformed people, and of course a lot of gathering of the general populace as well. They have been waiting for a long time now. Just tell us what can you see and what these people might be saying amongst themselves, waving flags, wearing caps with the tricolor on, and dhol bhi aaye hue and all that is happening. Tell us about that too.
We've been watching this from the very beginning, since morning at 8 a.m. when we came over here. At that time, the atmosphere was that people were pouring in, more and more people were pouring in at this place to see the happenings over here, to have a glimpse of, because nobody knew the time earlier. It was said that he'll be reaching here by 12 noon, but later on it prolonged and the people are still waiting. But now the atmosphere is that, and the people, they are almost silent now, and we can find just in front of the ICP, we can find the BSF officers more in number, which suggests that any time Wing Commander Abhinandan may be coming, because that time, before that, so many BSF officers together were not seen. Only Punjab Police was seen, and no senior officers of BSF were there. But now, since it has changed, the atmosphere has changed, I think it should take very long for Wing Commander Abhinandan to come to this place. And after he is being taken away from this place, then we'll get briefing from senior IAF officer.
Right. And apart from the Air Vice Marshal briefing all of us, informing the nation as well, as and when that happens, any indication that we might get a glimpse of the Wing Commander himself? That's what all these people, the entire nation has been waiting for, really.
That's true, but I'm a bit doubtful whether we'll be able to have a glimpse of our national hero from here, because as far as I know, as it happens earlier also, when such kind of thing happens, so we very rarely we get the glimpse, and leave aside having a few words with the national hero, or showing his face. Let us see what happens, but I am doubtful that people who are gathered here since morning, they'll be able to have a glimpse of a national hero. He'll be taken very hastily, and other processes they are to be completed, so they won't be waiting over here. This is what I feel.
Okay, Usha, just stick with me a little bit more. Sudhir is again with us, and Sudhir, मैं अगर आपसे कोई अतिरिक्त जानकारी अगर चाहूँ तो एक वही जानकारी है जिसका सब इंतज़ार कर रहे हैं, कुछ आधिकारिक तौर पर आपको जानकारी मिली, क्योंकि हम काफ़ी ज़िम्मेदार हैं यहाँ पे डीडी न्यूज़ में, यही हमारा शुरू से रवैया रहा है। जब तक आधिकारिक जानकारी नहीं मिलती हम उसके बारे में आगे उसको लोगों के सामने पेश नहीं करते हैं, तो कुछ अब पेश करने की परिस्थिति बनी है। सुधीर, okay, Sudhir still having some issues with that connectivity. Usha, what can you tell us about the current state of affairs right now at that Atari border? There is still that air of anticipation, alertness by the troops there, the police also. Quite a spectacle this, but in all this we haven't yet seen a single glimpse of the Wing Commander. We've been informed, or we've learned that he was there on the other side, close to the border, but from there on we've seen a lot of movement. We have also learned that the briefing will be taking place by the Air Force. Air Vice Marshal R.G. Kapoor will be briefing about it after the handing over, but that information is there, and that in itself is meaningful.
that will be very rare glimpse if we have a glimpse of Wing Commander Abhinandan. We are still waiting for that, and the whole atmosphere it suggests that he is expected any time. This is what I can add to the earlier version which I said. So we are still waiting, and everything is in place, and there is heavy barricading over here for media also, for public also, to control them. So still we are waiting, and now all the songs and all the hustle and bustle that has come with to a standstill, I can say, because everybody is waiting now. So BSF officials, they are all in control of the situation, and everything is in place, and we are just waiting. We are just looking at the gates of the ICP and the JCP so that we can have some feel, we can have some movement, we can feel some movement somewhere so that we can tell you something more, Gautam.
Right, definitely. Well, the images at the moment live from the Atari border speaking for themselves. You can see a lot of troops there, a lot of police, a lot of people. Everything in sort of a standby mode, as we all are, I'm sure, across the country, watching every screen, every moment, waiting. This is a moment filled with so much anticipation, so much joy. Let me just recount for all our viewers, for their benefit, what has brought us to this moment, and that, of course, is India's response to the Pulwama terror attack that took place on the 14th of February. That response came just a few weeks later, and India hit terror targets in a preemptive strike across the border deep inside Pakistan in Balakot and obliterated. That's what India has said. That's what the Indian Air Force in the Tri-Service briefing that was held later said. The terror camp of the Jaish-e-Mohammed in Balakot, in some hilly area, Jabba top is what has been circulating. And then the next day, Pakistan, who felt that India crossed some red lines, sent in its own jets and tried to attack some military installations of India's, and they missed the target. They were chased away by a combat air patrol and some more jets joining in, of which one was that of Wing Commander Abhinandan. He was chasing, giving hot pursuit to an enemy F-16 when he shot it down as well, because an enemy F-16 went down. That's the IF's claim as well. And then he was also brought down. He bailed out and landed almost 7 kilometers inside Pak-controlled territory. And then after an initial period where he had to survive the way that he could, he was taken into custody because he was attacked as well, as we all know, although we never broadcast those pictures, and we've been advising people as well not to share them on social media. They've been in circulation all over the place, but we know that he was taken into custody and then even interrogated. A video of that had also emerged, and now after the announcement by Imran Khan in the National Assembly's joint sitting yesterday, he had announced that in good faith and in the interest of peace, Pakistan is releasing Wing Commander Abhinandan. We are waiting that moment when he crosses, and in the meantime, what has happened is the OIC meet where Sushma Swaraj was a guest of honor, where she talked about terrorism emanating from the soil not named Pakistan, but we all know what she was talking about. And she urged the OIC, of which Pakistan is a founding member, that they need to do all that they can about it to ensure that these activities that Pakistan supporting and harboring terrorists are stopped. Pakistan boycotted this meeting. In that light, if you view this event, it clearly shows how Pakistan has always been playing a double game, trying to put across one face and then another one inadvertently or through circumstances that is forced into by India and the world community, we all get to see. And in the midst of all that, we are at this juncture where our wing commander, who is a hero for the country, is being handed over by Pakistan any moment now. We have information that a briefing is going to happen about it as well. That is indicative in sorts of at what juncture this entire process is. Amritpal Singh, my colleague and our correspondent in our newsroom now. Amrit, just tell us what more can we expect here apart from getting a glimpse of the national hero?
As you said, that the Air Force is going to do a briefing about it, but more than that, the glimpse is going to be very, very, it's going to be more than just symbolism, because the mood of the nation is that they want to see him. They want to see him in flesh and blood. He was the man. He's the man of the moment who's become the symbol of India's resilience, of striking back if its territory is violated. He chased them down. He chased the F-16 down. His plane was brought down by air defense guns of Pakistan. He fell into enemy territory very bravely. He parachuted the plane, exited the plane, parachuted into the territory. What we hear, there are some reports in the media from across the border that when he landed, the first thing that he asked was, has he landed in India or in Pakistan? And then, the local villagers try to beat him up.
Yes, they misinformed him as well initially. That's what has appeared in the media, that they told him that he's in India, which is why he had to then, when he realized he's in enemy territory, he scrammed, and then he even hid himself. That's all this is in the public domain now.
Yes. All that adds to the romance of the narrative. So now the mood of the nation is such that people want to see him on flesh and blood. I'm sure, look at all the television channels. They've been playing out these visuals for a very long time, including us. So it is basically that anticipation. People are glued to the television sets. Some people who are there would want to actually see him, that what a hero in flesh and blood looks like. That is the anticipation that you were talking about, and as it takes time, that's even going further up. People, there is a certain amount of restlessness which is setting in people to see him. So once he comes, we don't know yet whether he would be speaking directly to the media, but the Air Force, I'm sure, I'm told, and as you were also telling a little while back, that Air Vice Marshal Kapoor is to brief the media there. He could, Wing Commander Abhinandan could accompany him. So let's see how that plays out there. But yes, there at the Atari Wagah border and across the nation, there is this mood of the mood of the nation is they want to see their hero in flesh and blood.
Okay. But there's another school of thought as well, and Usha Pahar had apprehensions. I was speaking to her a little while back that we might not get to see him because of the way so far this entire episode of the handing over has been handled on our side of the border, because the people and the media have been kept at arm's length from the border itself, and access has been a bit of an issue. We can see pictures of the border, but inside the posts and all, the media has not been allowed.
I think the reason could be, one, because what if, such a crowd, the crowd becomes uncontrollable at the border. They've been kept at a distance. The media has been kept at the distance. And also when, he's handed over, there is a debriefing that he will have with his organization, debriefing with the intelligence organizations. There are certain formalities to be done. So probably all that would happen at the ICP there. That could be one reason. But if because Usha is on the ground, she knows better than me. If she is getting some input that he might not be presented before the media. That if he doesn't speak to the media, that could be a possibility. But my sense says that at least he would pass by the media, because it's through the media that the country who's been praying for him for the past 2 weeks saw how his father wrote that I thank the people of this nation for their prayers and blessings and for the hope that his son returns back soon. So I think a grateful nation would want to see that, and I think the Air Force would at least not deny the country that chance, at least a glimpse of him. But let's see how it transpires, Gautam.
Yes, you mentioned fathers, what Wing Commander Abhinandan's father had to say. I just came across this on social media. It's being shared very widely now, and it's said to be a poem written by his sister, Wing Commander Abhinandan's sister Aditi, and it's titled "My Brother with a Bloodied Nose," and in one part it says, they caught him on their land and then thrashed him like perhaps any of us would, till the army stepped in and dispersed them and rescued him while they could. They asked him who he was, and he said, with poise and utmost grace, a flying pilot of the Indian Air Force, battered, bruised, but with a proud face. So that's the face that we all want to see, and we've been waiting for, Amritpal.
In fact, his conduct, Gautam, if you follow a lot of social media, I follow a lot of Pakistani journalists and some commoners also there. He's got a lot of praise from a lot of people in Pakistan. Of course, there is a sentiment against him because he shot their F-16 down, and people obviously want to stand by their own nation. So there was understandably some anger against them, but there was a lot of praise in the way he conducted himself. They said that this is a brave officer, a very well-mannered officer. The videos which were leaked, of course, by the Pakistani military establishment, which later found their way on the social media, he comes across as a very, very brave, a very well-mannered, a cool, composed officer, and maintaining that in the face of enemy custody for a serving officer speaks a lot about him. He's a second-generation Air Force. He's second-generation Air Force. So that sort of shows on the way, in the way he conducted himself there in their custody, and drew some praise across the border. Of course, here he's a hero for different reasons. Of course, his bravery and his courage and his valor that he displayed, but also his mannerism, how he came across. He was seen talking to the video. Am I speaking to an officer? I'm not supposed to tell you that, and things like that. So he stood his ground, and this is what the Pakistani establishment was putting out. So clearly, to be seen as that and to act as like that speaks about the character of the man.
Certainly, and we are, of course, waiting to see and get a glimpse, and we don't know if there will be access, but certainly a glimpse of the Wing Commander. As and when that happens, we understand that there could be a process underway to enable that, because there are certain protocols that need to be observed. There's a debriefing that needs to be done. All that is there, Amritpal. What can you share about the process really here?
Process is that, once the formalities are completed, a medical is done. The medical is done on the other side. You do your own medical to see if they've caused him any harm, if they've tortured him in custody. They obviously do a medical and hand over the report saying that, look, we've handed over your officer fit and fine to you. You verify that. You do medical. His organization will do medical. His organization will first have a debriefing. They would want to know know from him how things transpired there. Then the intelligence agencies also come into play. They have their own objectives to fulfill, the information to garner, and then if after that his organization so decides that he should speak to the media or interact with the media, he would, if they think that he is not in a condition right now, because he could be too tired. You never know. I mean, he was in their custody for more than 24 hours. Maybe he hasn't been allowed to sleep. Maybe he's just too tired. The fatigue of it, the emotional fatigue of it. His family, of course, would want to meet him. They would want to have a first right over him. So, given all those weighing all these factors, they would take a decision whether today is the right time, or should he rest for a couple of days and then come and interact, because there is an expectation amongst the people, and I think his organization should value that. But if they so decides that there is nothing that he personally needs to share, or he can put out a statement, or the AVM, the Air Vice Marshal, can read that on his behalf, so it will weigh on that. But that's generally the process. So right now, I think this whole process would be going on. The family, of course, would want to meet him, so the family would be there. We know that the families traveled from Chennai. They had boarded a flight last night from Chennai, so they would be there. They would want to spend time with them. Imagine it must be a harrowing experience for the family to know that their son is and their husband or their brother is in enemy custody, and so they would be anticipation to meet him.
Well, definitely that would be there. And let's also talk about how this is happening, that a person, a national hero who shot down an F-16 with a MiG-21 Bison jet, the planes generations apart, is now being handed over by Pakistan. We saw Imran Khan addressing the nation saying, "दो पायलट हैं, दो पायलट की तो बात बदल गई अमृत," लेकिन उसके बाद he then said at that time he wanted dialogue, and it seemed that he was hinting that he's going to use the wing commander as a bargaining chip to make India sit down and talk. And then it changed the next day in the National Assembly in a joint sitting. He said that we're going to release him because it's a gesture of peace. So how did that happen?
That's how it plays out. There are different. It's a part of the disinformation campaign, the psyops.
Meanwhile, sorry, but the lights have come on now at the border in Atari.
Yes, because it is 6:30, and 6:30 on our western border outside in the northern state of Punjab at Wagah. It would be twilight now, so it's getting dark. So the lights have been put on, and I think what we are seeing right now is not the TCP, but it is the JCP ICP gate. This is not the Indo-Pak gate. This is the ICP gate, the integrated, the checkpost where once goods go over to the other
customs
side.
Controlled facility.
The customs controlled, right? So that's it's that particular gate there, because as Usha was saying that the media has been stopped about 1 kilometer. So this particular gate is about 1 kilometer from the ICP there. So right now this is lights have been put on anyway. So I was saying, you asked me a question about how Imran Khan's change of stance. Imran Khan, one thing you need to understand, that Imran Khan is reading from a script. Second, written by the GHQ General Headquarters, that's the Army Headquarters in Rawalpindi. So they have their stated objectives, they have their unstated objectives, they have what is called as tactical moves, which change on how the other side responds. So hence the change in Khan Saab's version. But I think Imran Khan wanted to first, use that, as you say. He could have been trying to use that as a bargaining chip. Then India sends a message across that, look, we are not in for any sort of negotiations. If you think this, our stance has been, we are open to talks, but terror and talks cannot go together. Unless we see verifiable and credible action against dismantling the terror network that operates out of your country, there is no point talking. So talks cannot happen for just talk's sakes. They have to have an objective of a forward movement. And so there's no point going around in circles. Then Imran Khan would have thought that let's take the moral high ground, that look, we are a great professional army, a country with a large heart. We handing over India, its officer who was caught on our soil. So therefore, to show that it was an aggression or violation of their airspace by India, and once it was there, the Indian Air Force pilot plane was shot down, the pilot ejected and landed in their territory. So he would have tried to take the moral high ground, but clearly it's not cutting much ice with the international community. These are things that Pakistan would have had to do anyway, and if it did not, he would have abdicated his responsibility in international law. They are signatories to the Geneva Convention. It's basically making a virtue out of necessity, one.
Yeah.
And secondly, it could be for domestic consumption, that look, India is the aggressor, and India wants to, that while Pakistan is the one who's trying to de-escalate the situation, even went to the length of returning a captured officer of the Indian, for them we are the enemy, of the enemy to them, yet they did not have large-heartedness to respond, and they're belligerent, and they are trying to escalate. So that's the narrative they want to peddle in their own country. They are free to do so. And they're doing, and let me add, they're doing that at their own peril.
Today we also saw Prime Minister, saw and heard him very, very clearly mentioning that we are proud of Wing Commander Abhinandan when he was addressing that rally in Kanyakumari, since and he mentioned that he's from Tamil Nadu as well. And he also spoke about how it's a new India when it comes to combating terror. He had hinted about a pilot project yesterday, but today he was quite unequivocal about speaking about not just the Wing Commander, but also India's stand, the drawing of new lines, Lakshman Rekhas, as far as terrorism, ordained from across the border is concerned.
That's true. When the Prime Minister says that he's proud of Wing Commander Abhinandan, he's only echoing the sentiment of the nation. He's just saying what the whole nation is feeling right now, and the whole nation is feeling this emotion with a lot of intensity, because here is a man who lands, strikes the Pakistani military, brings their F-16 down, lands in their territory, conducts himself bravely, with valor, with honor, and that man is coming back to his motherland. So the whole nation, that emotion, when the Prime Minister mentioned that, he echoed that sentiment of the nation. When the Prime Minister spoke about at Kanyakumari about how new lines are drawn, that is true. If you look at, post Pulwama, what has happened is that the narrative earlier was, the position was, terror and talks cannot go together. Post Pulwama attack, that counter-terrorism strike, that non-military preemptive strike, was that Pakistan should finish this terror network, this terror infrastructure. If they don't, we will. So that has been added. And the subsequent actions, the cabinet decisions of yesterday, the CCS deciding to ban the Jamaat-e-Islami, Jammu and Kashmir, the crackdown on Hurriyat leaders, the whole security narrative now is that, the space that was given, if it impinges upon the territorial integrity of the nation, it shall not be tolerated. Talks India is open to with Pakistan, provided it stops terror. Even within Jammu and Kashmir, all sort of voices are allowed, are permissible, engagement can happen, but if it impinges on the basic integrity and sovereignty of the nation, it shall not be tolerated. The Jamaat-e-Islami Jammu and Kashmir is the head work of radicalization and extreme radicalization of the youth of Kashmir. It is a fundamental organization of which, from where Hurriyat draws its fuel, it is also the organization of which whose militant wing is the Hizbul Mujahideen. Separatism and radicalization is what they do as their non-stated agenda. So banning them for 5 years is a decision they took. So basically now they're trying to, the whole narrative is changed, that the new narrative, that is the new lines that you're talking about,